Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is Graham Boettcher. I said it right.
You said it right.
It's not spelled like Graham Boettcher, but it's pronounced like
That's
Graham
right.
Boettcher. And he is the director of the Birmingham Museum of Art. And what I wish more people knew, and the reason I wanted him here, was because we have in this city a real pearl of a museum that gets overlooked, I do believe, by a lot of people. And you need to know what's going on down there. And shows like this can let the public know what's available
Absolutely.
on, I think, almost every day of the week.
Yeah, except for Mondays. We need
you-
one day to kind of
Breathe.
breathe, clean the place, get our house in order.
So are you a local person? How'd you end up here?
I am not a local person. I am a native of another Bellingham, Washington, up by the Canadian border in Washington State. And
Our next state?
well, I won't get into that.
No, I've been chastised for saying things like that by my spouse, so I take that back.
But no, right on the border with British Columbia. And I think my family's been there a very, very long time, 6th generation Washingtonian. And we settled there before the boundary between Canada and the United States was drawn. So we say that sometimes that we're accidental Americans because we were there before the border was there. But I moved here from New Haven, Connecticut in 2006. I was finishing up grad school up in Connecticut and found out about the job down here. And I strangely, I grew up hearing stories about Birmingham because my grandmother and great-grandmother lived here for 1 year during the Great Depression. That's a long story, which we don't have time to go into, except to say that my grandmother went to 2nd grade at Powell School,
Wow.
just a few blocks from the museum. And, never could I have imagined that all those years later, I would inhabit the same space for 19 years now.
Great building in rough shape.
Truly.
I wish somebody could do something
Yeah,
with
it's a
that.
beautiful building. I pass it nearly every day.
Yeah, but before you came here, you were elsewhere and you studied in some fairly high-class places.
I did. I was at Yale as an undergrad and feel very fortunate. I don't know that I would get in there today, but
I wouldn't get in law school today.
And then I did my master's at the University of Washington, and then was fortunate enough to go back to Yale. This time without student loans. I had my fair share of student loans beforehand, but the beauty of Yale's graduate program is if they accept you, you're fully supported in exchange for teaching duties, which I happily agreed to. And I love being in the classroom, but once I started working in the Yale Art Gallery, that was it. I was smitten, and I realized that museums were the right path for me, and so I've never looked back.
So how long have you been in Birmingham?
19 years. This is my 19th year.
So what drew you, aside from what you've already described, did an opening pop up and you say, I think I'll put my hat in the ring for that?
Well, it's an interesting story, and one that I like to tell because I think sometimes people from outside of Birmingham don't fully realize what an attractive place Birmingham is. And I had never been to Birmingham prior to my interview. I had had a phone interview that I thought went very well. And then I had a lot of job applications out, and I got a phone call from an institution in Chicago making me an offer. And, rather than immediately accepting the offer, I thought to myself, I really like that interview I had with the folks in Birmingham, and I like what I've read about their collection. I had access to a few exhibition catalogs and a permanent collection catalog. And I thought, it may be presumptuous, but I'm going to call Birmingham and tell them that I have an offer on the table and ask if they had any interest in interviewing me further before I make a decision. So I called and spoke to the chief curator at the time. And next thing I know, about 20 minutes later, he calls back and he said, can you be here tomorrow? Well, thank God I had picked up my good suit, my one suit at the time from the dry cleaners, because I was on a flight to Birmingham the next day. And to their credit, they pulled off a whirlwind 48 hours of interviews. And at the end of the interview, it was, our director at the time, Gail Andrews, said, we're very, very interested. And so I ended up, it's a long story to the, to the kind of the final chapter, except to say, at the end of the day, I turned down offers in Chicago and Boston to come to Birmingham. And some people, would scratch their heads. So those are bigger cities and maybe, more, on the beaten path. And what drew me to Birmingham was the quality of the collection and the institution, the innovative programming. But the thing that drew me here most and that keeps me here for 19 years are the people, my colleagues at work and the people in the community. This is, honest to goodness, one of the best places I've ever lived. And people ask me that a lot. Well, what drew you here? What keeps you here? It's the people.
Well, when you said what you said about Chicago and Boston, I got chill bumps that you chose Birmingham, because people don't realize what a pearl we have in that art museum and what types of things are in our collection. And it's always changing, not completely, but
That's
things
right.
are coming and going.
All right.
For example, one of the things, my wife asked me to make sure I brought up, there's this piece of art. It's a Western, the piece I'm talking about. It's apparently very special.
It is very special. The Bierstadt, and just I love it. I'll say more on the Bierstadt in a moment. I mean, just to say, I chose Birmingham over Boston and Chicago, but I feel so fortunate that Birmingham chose me, because I might not have gotten the job here.
Did we have that piece when you came to work here?
The Bierstadt? No, the Bierstadt has been here since 1929.
Really?
It has been. It was purchased by a Birmingham woman named Anna Fries, whose husband was the chief engineer of the Tennessee Coal and Iron Company. She found it at essentially a yard sale or an estate sale on Cape Cod. She bought it for $200 before the stock market crashed in 29.
Oh my.
Had it shipped to Birmingham for about an extra $100 rail freight and donated it to the Birmingham Public Library, where it hung until 1989, when it was transferred to the museum and then permanently given by the library in 1991.
Well, sit tight. You've got to see it. You've got to go see it. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back to talk more about our museum. Don't go away. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I encourage you to go down and see the piece of art he just described for us. You will be there a while, but it is well respected in the art community, and we have it right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Right. Now, people roll their eyes, particularly guys, when their wives say, or their significant others say, let's go to the museum. I like history. I like art. We have lots of things of that nature in our Museum of Art, but there are other things that go on there.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about what else goes on there? And I'm not talking about the Candlelight series. We can talk about that, but let's talk about what else people can do there.
I mean, we have programming going on throughout the year, and I encourage folks to look at our website.
For like kids?
For kids, we have Art Venture, which is very, very popular. It's an activity space that is open during regular museum hours. In the summers, we have Art Camp, and I think the registration may have just gone live for that. I encourage folks to check our website. But we are doing programming throughout the year. We recently had a successful partnership with Thank You Books in Crestwood, and they brought the author Amani Perry, and she was in conversation, being interviewed essentially by the actor Andre Holland, and a really exciting event. Packed the house. We did another partnership with the Alabama Ballet called Love on Point, timed with Valentine's Day, and again packed the house. Beautiful performances, and so we see ourselves not only as a space where people can experience the visual arts, but also other forms of art, whether it's the literary arts. We do poetry events, the performing arts, and so we want to be a place that's broadly seen as a venue where everyone can find something that's to their liking. And you'd mentioned the candlelight concerts. We also, are a venue that is available for other organizations to rent. And so we've gotten a lot of positive attention from the candlelight concerts. People have reached out to me and said, Graham, this is sold out. Can you get me a ticket? Not our event. We're simply providing the venue. But one of the things we like about that is that it brings a lot of people into the museum for the first time, and many of them come back. And so it's a win-win. It's a revenue generator for us in terms of rentals, but then the proximity that it builds with the audience is really a wonderful benefit as well.
Yeah, and it's not hard to get in.
No.
Admission is not outrageous.
It's free.
Well, not the.
Oh, you mean the candlelight concerts? No, that is not free.
But
disclaimer.
To get into the museum is free.
Yes.
And when people on Sunday are looking for something to do and it's cold outside or it's raining,
yeah,
what a great place to go and take your children or take your family or even just take yourself.
No, absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned at the outset, Tommy, was that a lot of folks don't really realize what a jewel we've got in our own midst. And recently, Condé Nast Traveler named us one of the 51 best museums in the country. Not art museums, but all museums.
That's fantastic.
We were one of the handful of art museums in the country to get that accolade. And so we're getting national attention for the quality of our collections. But sometimes it's hard to appreciate what's in your own backyard. It's just, there are venues, I admit, here in Alabama that I haven't visited yet that are on my wish list. Space and Rocket, guilty as charged. I need to make it up to Huntsville to have a look.
Yeah, you look good dressed in that outfit going weightless.
I might be a little gravitationally challenged.
It made me throw up.
Oh, no.
I was spinning around. I could not do that. In terms of, there was a time on Sundays you had a jazz brunch.
Yes.
Is that still going on down there?
It is not. It's something we're looking at bringing back. We got out of the restaurant business by force
say no more.
due to the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
But and we recently had a partner, but who was unfortunately, it was a nice run, but they've had to step away. And so now we're looking at other options. But our hope is to bring back some manner of food service, but especially the Sunday brunches, because they were so popular. I mean, we had some people call and reserve 2 tables. They loved it so much especially for Easter and Mother's Day.
And the food was good.
It was very good.
In terms of special pieces of art that live in our museum, describe a few of them that other places would long to have.
Oh, yes. Well, the Albert Bierstadt we've already mentioned, but another that I'll call out is our John Singer Sargent portrait of Lady Helen Vincent, the Viscountess d'Abernon, which hangs in our American gallery. That was the poster child for the John Singer Sargent and Fashion exhibition that recently closed at the Tate Museum in London. They put it on our painting was on the cover of their catalog. Wow. Our Carrie James Marshall painting, School of Beauty, School of Culture, is going to headline the Carrie James Marshall exhibit at the Royal Academy in London later this year. That's especially meaningful because Carrie James Marshall is from right here in Birmingham. He was born and raised in Ensley, lived here till he was 12 years old, and he is going to be the star of a one-man exhibition, a retrospective of his long career at the Royal Academy in London later this year. That's huge.
That's fantastic. All right, we're going to take another break. Don't go away. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with Graham Boettcher, who is our director of our museum, which has been described today as, I think, a lot more than what people appreciate it for what it is. I really do. It breaks my heart. I personally love the Candlelight series because they do Queen. My wife wanted to see Adele. Tickets were $30,000 a piece. So I got her tickets to the Candlelight series of Adele that were less than $100.
There we go.
Now, we're coming up on our 75th anniversary.
That's right.
That's amazing.
It's huge. We were founded in 1951 as a department of the city of Birmingham. We are still very proudly a department of the city. And our original galleries were in City Hall. And it wasn't until 1959 that, thanks to a bequest from Helen Wells, we were able to build our current structure, which we've expanded over the years and probably due for another expansion. Stay tuned.
You got room?
We are bursting at the seams, and that is in large part thanks to the generosity of this community. We have an incredibly generous community in terms of building our collections, but also we've attracted the attention of national donors. We're about to open a major exhibition of 19th century silver made in South Asia, primarily India. And that was given to us by a man named Harish Patel, a collector who lives in New York City, who was looking for a home for his collection, which is one of the best of its kind, heard about the Birmingham Museum of Art and our focus on South Asian art, which goes all the way back to our earliest days, and decided we were the right home for his collection, that we would really do it justice.
So that art remains his, it's just on display?
No, it was given to us.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 200 pieces.
That's a lot of money.
It's a wonderful collection. We don't think about it in monetary terms because for us it's the cultural impact, which is you can't really put a price tag on.
Oh, you couldn't put a price tag on what's in that building.
Yeah,
it would be.
For cultural assets, we just consider it invaluable.
So you mentioned donors. Where do you have free admission? Mm-hmm. I guess you get money from the city of Birmingham.
We do.
And I'm sure you apply for grants
of
for
course,
various
yes.
things. But where do you get the money to run the place?
It's really a partnership. We are a department of the city of Birmingham, so the city provides roughly 45% of our funding. It's a city-owned facility, power, water, huge expenses because we've got to have, really state-of-the-art HVAC. But in its wisdom, when
the climate control in that building must be really high class.
It is, and it's 24/7. And in their wisdom, when the museum was founded, the city ordinance allowed the board to raise funds beyond the city budget to allow the museum to continue to grow and thrive. And so that money is raised through the generosity of the community, through memberships, through grants from local foundations, but also national and even sometimes international foundations, and from our corporate community as well. Many of our special exhibitions, but most of our special exhibitions are presented thanks to the generosity of our local corporate community, which has just been fantastic for years and years and years.
And individuals like myself, can donate.
Absolutely.
Simply by going to the web page, and there's obviously a button that says
That's
donate.
Right. Yes.
And you can choose whatever level. and no donation is too small.
Yeah,
I was-
no, everything moves the needle for us. And we're a perfect example of an institution that has been successful because of the generosity of the community at every level.
Well, expansion. Here's my idea.
All right, let's hear it.
Let's get rid of that jail, move it out on 459 so that it services the entire greater Jefferson County area who ought not to be in the jail business, including the city of Birmingham, and take that piece of property and turn it into something that's not what it is.
That's a bold idea, Tommy. I will say this: one of our biggest challenges is that we are landlocked.
Parking.
Parking certainly is a challenge. Though I am, one thing that is a real benefit. Even though we lost some parking when City Walk Beeham was put in under the interstate, that space has been such a benefit to us. We are able to use it for some of our programming, including our upcoming Indian Festival of Color, Holi.
Yeah.
And we have the throwing of the colors on City Walk, and that's been a lot of fun.
Walk up City Walk
Yeah.
and into the museum.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Tommy.
Great show. We might have you back.
I would love that.
Like
Thank
to
you so
talk about
much.
some more. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us today, and we will see you next Sunday.
At ABC 3340, we're not just working for you, we're working with you. Because of you, together, we're making a difference. Thank you and keep them coming to news tips at abc3340.com or call us at 205-440-1841. We get it. Your mornings are hectic.
We're here to help you get ready for your day.
Good Morning Alabama on ABC 3340.
GMA doesn't waste your time.
Local weather, traffic, and news always on your screen.
So the information you need, always where you can see it, even during commercials.
Plus, we have the Good Morning Alabama live desk.
Always updating breaking news in your neighborhood and around the world.
Everything you need to prepare for your day. Good Morning Alabama on ABC 3340. Alabama Weather Authority. In your home, in your office, in your pocket. Constantly updated by your ABC 3340 weather team and available to you anytime, anywhere. Local weather from local experts. ABC 3340, the Weather Authority, working for you. Watch James Spann on ABC 3340, working for you.